Well, hello, everyone out there. This is Laura Parrish. I would like to welcome each and every single person on the line to the Monday Night Empower Hour call. It is Monday, May 20th, 2013, and I'm super excited to be here and hosting the call tonight. You know, we haven't missed a single Empower Hour call since the beginning of Empower Network, which is back on October 31st of 2011. So it's just great to be a part of this business, this company, and to be here on the call tonight. And like I said, I'm super excited to be here. I'm pumped up. I cannot wait to hear all the value and the content that's going to be provided tonight in the call. But before I bring out tonight's speaker, I really just want to share a little bit about my story with you guys, for those of you who don't know it. And, you know, I completely and totally believe that everything happens for a reason. I really understand and believe that I was meant to host this call tonight. So when I was asked, I was like actually super excited, like, yes, I'm so glad. You know, David Sharp sent out an email, a mass email today, and you know, he said he was going to be stretching us, right? And I really felt like that email was directly to me because he talked about some stories in that email. You know, he talked about some stories. He talked about how someone told him a long time ago that he'd be helping people he never knew he'd help and inspire them to change their lives, and someone else told him that he would be in front of 5,000 people speaking life and purpose into their hearts and inspiring them to think bigger and create bigger results in their life and their business. And, you know, that just really put me in a position of deja vu because of my story, you know, because those things happen to me, you know. I believe that, you know, everyone comes into this business with the first intention of earning money, you know, and as well as I did. But unbeknownst to me, I got a lot more than I bargained for. I got a lot more than that. You see, back in May of 2012, which actually May 24th, so this Thursday will be my 1-year anniversary with the Empower Network. But back in May of 2012, you know, I started this business, and I was working it part-time. You know, I came into internet marketing just a few days before I started with Empower Network. And so I was doing Empower Network part-time, and I really didn't have any guidance. I really didn't have any direction. I didn't know, you know, really what I wanted, you know, as far as a future or a career or anything like that. You know, I didn't know. I didn't have anything. I didn't have any direction. I just knew that I was a stay-at-home mom. I've been a stay-at-home mom for about 5 years. And I knew that I wanted something better for my family. I knew that I needed to be doing something for myself. At all of this, at the same time, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober for just over 2 years. Back in March was my 2-year anniversary, you know, and I just wanted to do something. I wanted to help my family with the finances. You know, I wanted to be able to spend time with my husband again and be able to, you know, go on date night. You know, that's really what I wanted. I just wanted to help out with the finances, you know, and get some things back and have some of myself back as an individual. Because as you know, if you have kids, when you become a parent, you know, your children are the most important thing to you. But sometimes we forget to make ourselves a priority. So basically, you know, I worked in Empower Network part-time through about September, and then I went to an event in San Diego. And in San Diego, the event's really what changed my life, because David Sharp got up on stage, and he talked about himself. He talked about his story, his testimony, where he had been, his experience, you know, and his struggles and his disease of alcoholism and drug addiction. And that really connected with me because that's where I had been. You know, I understood that. And, you know, this entire time I really hadn't been paying attention to Empower Network. I was just working it part-time. But then I heard that story, and something that he said reached out to me. And I began to believe that if he could do it, I could do it. And what makes him so different than me, right? So at that point I began to believe that he wasn't so different than me, that I could achieve the same things that he achieved. And I learned to stop looking at him as different than who I was. And that led me to go off and shake his hand and tell him who I was and that I was going to be on his stage in Austin, Texas at the next event in January. Well, he told me he believed in me, and I took that, you know, because when someone tells you something like that, you can take it to heart or you can take it with a grain of salt. And I grabbed a hold, I grasped that and believed it and felt it with everything that I could. And I came home and I decided to transition full-time to Empower Network. And since that day, my life has dramatically changed. I just hit over $100,000 in earnings with Empower Network last Wednesday, the 15th, and of course I've got to throw the income disclaimer in there, that those results are not typical, and you can see the income disclaimer at the bottom of every page of the Empower Network pages. But it has changed my life. That has changed my life. And in Austin, I made it on stage. I was on stage several times. And, I had another moment with David Sharp, and he told me he was proud of me and that I made it. And I said, next time I'm going to make it bigger. And believe when I went home from Austin that I had another jolt of what I needed. I had another fit of passion to say I can do more. I can do better. I made top 35. I made top 35 in Austin, but I wanted more. I came home from Austin and kicked it up a notch. The next contest ended up being 4th place out of 120,000 affiliates. In Chicago, I was on stage speaking in front of 6,000 people. And you guys have to understand the power and the magnitude of that, because who am I, really? Who am I? I'm no different than anyone else. I was just a stay-at-home mom, a recovering alcoholic who was, wandering around, not having any purpose or any direction, in my life until I found this business. I got a lot more than I bargained for. So really, without further ado, the bottom line is I had to change my mindset. I got laser focused on Empower when I went to the San Diego event. I learned that my true success really started to begin when I stopped worrying about making money and started worrying about the genuine, care, concern, and compassion for other people. I got honest and transparent and always put others first. And when you do those things, the money just comes secondary. So I totally learned that so many times in our lives, without even realizing it, we feel like we're in chains. And without even realizing it, we don't even know that we have the key to release those chains. And that is what Empower Network showed me, the way that, I do have the key. I just needed someone to believe in me until I could believe in myself. And for me, that was David Sharp. So to go back to the email that he sent today, he said something about another story, that someone had told him that he could be one of the biggest internet marketers and most wealthiest internet marketers in this industry, and he was going to talk about that a little bit. So I'm super excited to introduce our guest tonight. With that said and done, I've got my pen and my notepad ready to take notes. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the man that has forged, or one of the men that has forged the way for us, and especially directly for me, as you've heard my story, the co-founder of Empower Network himself, Mr. David Sharp. David, are you there?
I am, Laura, and thanks for introducing me. And I just want to tell you one more time that I'm super, super, super proud of what you've achieved here. And I really do believe for you, just like I believe for Empower, that it's just the start. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to do here really over the next year. I think that you're going to make the results that you've created so far just look small. So I appreciate you, and thanks for the kind intro.
Yeah, brother.
Okay, cool. Well, listen, guys, there you got it. It's just a pleasure to be on the call tonight with you guys. I'm coming here from my home here in Florida, and over the last week, I have a little bit of time distortion. Sometimes I just lose track of what time how much time has gone by, or even sometimes what day of the week it is. That's some of the side effects that happen. You ever seen one of those commercials where it's like we've all seen them. The medications come on TV, and then the little disclaimer at the end says you may have high heart rate. You may die from this. Your children may die. Your children's children may die from taking this medication. They just want to put it all out front. Well, really having success and making it big inside of this business, some of the side effects are you don't have to go in and work a job if you don't want to go in and work a job anymore. Some of you enjoy your job. Some of you don't look at it like a self-made prison. Some of the other things is you get to spend more time with the people that you love, doing the things that you want to do anytime that you want, regardless of what day it is. You also can experience a lifestyle second to none. You can begin to travel and not have to think about if you're going to ride in first class or coach. You can start to eat where you want to eat, shop where you want to shop, and you can start to actually make decisions about your financial future that once were insignificant to your life. And a lot of times I find myself talking with a lot of our leaders who are having a lot of success. What are you going to do with your money? Where are you making investments? What do you do now? And these are luxury conversations. My bud Tony Rush and I, we always joke about this, and I joke about this honestly with a lot of my friends, because for those of you who do really know where I came from, all of my problems today are luxury problems, and I'm very grateful for them. A lot of people, they have a very, very misunderstood and misguided perception of what we're all about here at Empower. We came out of the gate and had unbelievable success, and they look at us and they say those guys are all about the money, or they're all about this, or they're all about that, and what they don't know is that we're all about the people. Because when we started this company, we had the people in mind, and we understood what people went through because we were the people. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit tonight. Here's what I want to say before I even get into any of that, is that if you're on this call tonight and you were invited by somebody, here's what I'm going to tell you to do, and I'm probably going to tell it to you directly and indirectly throughout this call, is that go back to the person, whether they sent you an email or a note on Facebook, or whether they sent you a link via email. Maybe somebody called you up. Maybe somebody didn't know how to work their computer. We've got those people too, so you don't have to just be an internet marketer or be technically savvy to build this business. Maybe somebody just picked up the phone and called you and said, man, you got to get on the phone tonight and listen to this ex-homeless guy who's going to talk about what they've been able to do over the last 15 months. I don't care how you got the message. It doesn't matter who the messenger was. The point is that you're here tonight for a reason, and I'm going to prove that to you, because when you hear some of these stories and the things that I'm going to tell you, I can promise you that it's either going to really piss you off or it's going to make you extremely excited about what you're hearing. So I want you to go back and I want you to click that link. I want you to go in and I want you to dig through that email and find that email, and I want you to join as a customer or as a customer and affiliate if you are not already in. And if you are in, what my hope for you tonight is to stretch you a little bit, because I can tell you that I've been through a lot. I've seen a lot. And I can tell you that some of the things that I've seen over my life have taught me a few really, really important lessons. And I'm going to talk about those lessons tonight, because my real intention for this call, I was just mapping out a couple of things on my whiteboard. I don't know if there's anybody else on the call who loves whiteboards as much as I do. Everywhere that I go, whether it's an event, whether it's a vacation, I usually like to have a whiteboard close by, because I like to map things out. I like to see things. It was funny. I was my partner and I, Aaron, we were in a relationship coaching class probably 4 or 5 months ago. We just wanted to learn how to communicate with each other better. We get to a certain phase to where her and I are real personal development junkies in a way. She likes to learn, cool stuff about what she's interested in. I like to learn about cool stuff that I'm interested in, and we like to learn about how we could be more powerful and effective together. And I was inside of this woman's room, this woman's office, and she sat us down, and after about an hour of dissecting our personalities, we realized that we communicated different ways. The point that I want to make to you is that I realized I was a big vision thinker. I communicated in big vision terms. Erin, she's a detail-oriented speaker. Okay, she would tell me, hey, honey, I want to make sure that you're going to be at this place at this time next Thursday, and we're going to be having this is going on, and this is what we're going to do when we leave. And I just told her, hey, baby, make sure that you remind me on Wednesday, right? Because we communicated differently. I see things a little bit different, right? I see things in the terms of having a vision and of the big picture. And what I want to do with you tonight is I want to share with you my vision today. And I want to really share with you how that vision stretched, right? Because I can tell you that 5 years ago, I walked into a room, and I'll never, ever forget it. I was down, and I was really, really coming off of a hard run. For those of you who don't know my story, I was a drug addict. I was an alcoholic. I was in the streets. There's no pussyfooting around it. There's no easy way to say it. There's no politically correct way to say it. And I don't really care what you think about me, because I already dealt with my past. And once you deal with your past, nobody can use it against you. But I was at the bottom. I was all the way down, and the only place that I could go was up from there. And I somehow, coming out of a dirty laundry room, found my way to my father's house who I hadn't seen in over a year. And I dragged my butt up onto his doorstep and asked him if I could sleep on his couch and get my life back together. When he opened that door, I can guarantee you that I looked like Skeletor. He looked at me up and down for about 30 seconds and debated in his head whether he actually wanted to let me in his house. I didn't say anything because I didn't have anywhere else to go. There was no selling, telling, convincing. I needed somebody to help me out. I was desperate. He actually took me to a 12-step meeting, and when I went into that meeting, I was crying my eyes out like a big baby because I had knew there was a better way to live. See, this wasn't my first rodeo. I'd tried to get my life together before, but I just wasn't around the right people and didn't hear the right message yet, or it didn't get through my thick head either way. And I can remember after that particular hour, I was out in the parking lot, and a man named Samuel came up to me, and he looked me in my eyes, and he kind of chuckled a little bit. And I could remember being angry at this guy. I was mad that he was laughing at me, right? I was in the lowest point of my life. I had a daughter that I had off and on seen over the last couple of years. She was about 8 years old by this time. She's 13 now. She was just wandering around the house here. It's super cool to do calls and be ranting and raving and yelling around your house, and your family's kind of looking at you like you've got three heads. But that's the beautiful thing, right? That's one of the side effects of building this business. But I was out in that parking lot, and Samuel looked at me, and he just was laughing. And he said, "Son, one day you're going to be going probably into institutions. You'll be going into treatment centers. You'll be going into jails. You'll be sitting in other meetings around other people, and who knows, you may be somewhere out there in the world. I have no idea where you'd be, but I can guarantee you if you do what we teach you to do, you will be somewhere inspiring someone to get and stay clean and showing them how to change their life." I can tell you that for me at that moment in time, that was the last thing that I was worried about. I'm just being honest with you. That was the absolute last thing that I was worried about, was helping somebody else. Because it's all I wanted to do at that moment was help myself. The only thing that I wanted to do was save my own life. I realized that I was down in the pits of despair, and I needed a life vest. I was desperate. And all I could think about was just the immediate future. It's fascinating sometimes when we put ourselves in a box. It's fascinating to me watching so many people now being somewhat disconnected from normality and reality and walking around seeing people spend so much of their time blaming all of their problems on society and other people. I used to do the same thing. I realized and I learned that it was actually me that was keeping me in the box. There's a difference between being locked up in prison and being in a prison that you create for yourself. There's a difference between somebody keeping you down and then you keeping yourself down because of your self-limiting beliefs. It's fascinating. I can remember sitting back when I first got into network marketing. And I've got some hilarious stories. I don't have time to go into them tonight. I will tell you a little kind of bite-sized piece of one or two here. But I could just remember that I was hungry. This was after I got clean. I really started to get serious about my future. And I can remember I was working in a telemarketing place, and a girl came up to me and she said, "Dave, you look like a sharp person. Do you keep your business options open?" And the first thing I said was, "Well, hot damn, it's about time somebody noticed how sharp I was." And I said, "Of course I keep my business options open. What are you kidding me? I showed up to her house in my Sunday best. I was ready to do some business." Well, there was one guy sitting in the living room, and he said, "Honey, I'll be in the back if you need me." And there was about 4 or 5 other women there. I said to myself, "Oh, boy." And I sat there and I watched this girl draw circles on the whiteboard, and I was all in. From the minute I saw it, I've had the fever ever since. I don't know if there's anybody on this call tonight that can relate, but I have absolutely had the fever ever since. I can tell you that I remember this lady seeing me do my first presentation, and hearing the words come out of my mouth, I really didn't realize the potential that I had. I knew that I had some potential because I went and I worked at this telemarketing place, and I became the top salesperson there and was rewriting the scripts and stuff like that. I knew I had a little bit of talent, but I didn't yet believe in myself and didn't realize at that time in my life what my real potential was. And that lady looked at me and she said, man, if you really stay at this, one day you could be standing in front of 5,000 people speaking inspiration into their hearts and souls and moving people to do bigger things in their life. I can tell you when she said that to me, I can promise you, because I remember exactly where I was when she said it, and the feeling that I had was, lady, look, let's just try to get a couple of the people here in this meeting to buy a couple of these products so I can pay for my auto ship this month. That was all I was thinking about. I'm telling you, it was all I was thinking about. Isn't it fascinating? The way that we limit ourselves. Isn't it fascinating that sometimes we suffocate our own vision? There was another time that I was doing another meeting. Now, this was after I had quit and joined like 5 other deals and came back and said I was done with network marketing and all this, and I was back again. Driving my old 1990 Ford F-150. I love that truck. Best truck I ever had. I swear to God, I can still remember the day that I bought that truck. I went and I picked Aaron up, and I turned around the corner, and that woman, she was so happy when she saw me in this truck. Now, I look back at that truck, and let me tell you something. It had more rust on it than it had paint. But that was just, hey, we were grateful. We still are. But I can remember getting back in because I was on a construction site, and this guy named John came up to me and recruited me into this business. This son of a gun just wouldn't leave me alone. He just kept coming back day after day. I told him, John, I'm not doing one of those pyramid things again. I'm just not getting into it. He said, Dave, this ain't one of those. Hey, this is the new octagon. No, he didn't say that, but that's what I say now when people say that kind of stuff. I think it's pretty hilarious. But I got in that thing, and I can remember doing a presentation again. Some guy said to me similar thing that he said that my previous sponsor, Val, said to me several years back. He said, Dave, man, listen, I've seen people make millions of dollars inside of this industry. I've seen people do things that most people can't comprehend. I've seen people live lifestyles that most people can't relate to. I've seen people make more money than most people will ever make in their entire life in a month, right? I've seen people travel the world because of this business. I've seen people retire at 30 because of this business. I've seen people get their skills and transform them from discombobulated all over the place skill sets that they don't know what to do with into a cash machine where they can write their own paycheck anytime that they want. And I'll tell you what I wanted right that minute was I wanted to just sponsor somebody in my business. That's all I wanted to do. He said, Dave, if you stay at this, you could become one of the biggest, one of the most well-known, and one of the most successful network marketers this profession has ever seen. I remember distinctly this guy saying this to me. And I'm going to tell you something, I did not hear him at that time. I didn't hear him. I didn't hear what he was saying to me. Why? Well, same reason I didn't hear Samuel when he told me that one day I'd be going into treatment centers and jails and speaking, speaking life into people who were dealing with the same issues that I dealt with. Same reason why I didn't hear Val when she said that, I could really, really go and move people if I really worked on the skill sets that I already had. And I didn't hear this guy when he told me that I could be one of the most well-known and successful network marketers that the industry had ever seen. I don't know what he saw in me because I certainly didn't see it myself. It was the beginning in this part of my life that I started to get around people who were believing me even though I didn't believe in myself. That's why I talk about that so much. See, a lot of times we say things, and I think people think that we've got parrot syndrome, but I can tell you one thing, my friend. One thing about us is that we won't tell you to do something if we haven't done it ourselves. And we only speak from our own experience because that's the best way to teach people and show somebody the way. I can tell you that when we launched this company, guys, Dave Wood and I sat in a room for about a week and mapped out our intentions on the whiteboard. We mapped out our intentions on the whiteboard because we always do that. I mapped out some intentions. Hold on a second, going to get some water. I mapped out my intentions for this call tonight. I mapped out my intentions for the Chicago event. I'm going to map out my intentions for the Denver event. I map out my intentions for everything that I do. And then I just let them go. I'll talk about that here in a second. But Dave Wood and I were in a room mapping out our intentions for what we wanted Empower Network to be. And I can tell you something, guys. We had some pretty lofty goals, right? Our vision, we thought, was pretty big. We thought our vision was pretty big. I mean, we'd been in the industry for a long time. We knew some things for sure. We knew that people were sick and tired of the same bullshit. We knew that. We knew that we were sick and tired of being around company owners who would get in the boardroom and somebody would fart wrong or break their fingernail and everybody would say, okay, it's time to shut the company down. We knew we were sick and tired of that. We knew we were sick and tired of our teams not making money. We knew that we were sick and tired of having companies take our teams to events to make all the money for them and we'd be left in the dust and the dark. We knew that we were sick and tired of being around people who didn't have our best intentions in mind. We knew that we were sick and tired of working our ass off and fighting for our people when somebody else was just going to let them fall along the wayside once they stopped doing whatever they needed them to do for them. We knew that we were tired of the same old, same old. We knew that we were tired of the good old boys club. We knew that we were tired of the get on the dog and pony show and get up there in the suit and be what somebody wanted us to be and talk how somebody wanted us to talk and act how somebody wanted us to act just so we could get up on stage and speak or whatever the case may be. I can tell you something, that I was sick and tired of preaching the dream and living a nightmare is what I was. So we got in a room and we mapped out our intentions. And I tell you what our intention was to bring in 2,000 customers our first month. That was our intent. And I'm going to tell you something. We thought that was a big goal. We really did. We ended up bringing in almost 10,000 customers the first month. It's an amazing thing what happens sometimes even when you think that your mind's in the right place. See, guys, something that I really want to teach you tonight. I really, really want to teach you that sometimes when you're in the fishbowl, you can't see what's going on. Did you know, and I think this is a fascinating story, and I don't know who realized this or learned this. I mean, there's some people who are just some smart people, and there's some people who got too much time in their hands, and I don't know which one this person was, but I got to tell you, it was a really cool discovery that he found that a fish would swim around in a fishbowl and swim in circles and circles and circles and circles and circles and circles. What a life. They'd take the same fish and they would put it out into the sea. Take the bowl away. The fish could have gone. Now, I just want you to think about Finding Nemo. Don't you remember that movie? That guy, he just swam all over the world, didn't he? If I'm remembering correctly. The fish, when they took it out of the bowl and they put it into the sea, continued to swim around in the same circle. Folks, I can tell you something, that sometimes you need to be stretched. Folks, I can tell you something, that sometimes you need to get around somebody who can see past what you can see. Sometimes you need to get around somebody who's been down the path that you've been and who hasn't failed but who's succeeded. Now, I'm not saying that you can't learn from people's failures, because I got to tell you, that's one of the best ways that I've learned. Once I really figured it out, and I didn't really get that for a long time, but I have somewhat grasped it now. I can tell you this, that the more that I know, the more I know I don't know, and I never really understood what that meant until about the last 6 months. But I can tell you one thing, folks. I can tell you one thing, is that almost every single situation in my life, I have always underestimated my potential. I have always underestimated what could really be possible. Always. I've always underestimated it. I had to get around some people who could see a bigger picture than I could see. I had to get around some people who could believe in some things that I just wasn't able to believe in. I had to get around some people who were going to push and inspire me to do more, to be more, to want more. I had to get around some different people. I had to let some of the old people go. I had to start choosing my friends a little bit more wisely. And that doesn't mean that you still can't be friends with people. That doesn't mean that, you have to go and be some egotistical asshole who walks around and says, hey, I'm rich now, I can't hang out with you. Because I can tell you something, that some of my best friends in the whole entire wide world, I knew way before I got rich on the internet and in this profession, way before that. And I still hang out with them now. But I'm going to tell you something, I choose my time wisely with what I do, because I got around somebody who showed me that my time was valuable. I can remember a time when they used to teach me when I got on the internet, they said, Dave, sit around and just do free training all day and give a lot of value to people, and, people are going to just automatically be attracted to you and want to join you. And all the smart marketers were out there learning how to sell. They were communicating. They were building marketing funnels. They were doing the things that we teach you to do inside of Empower. They were creating content with a strong call to action. All of that stuff is in the products. Right? If you don't own our products, I don't care who you are. If you don't want to be an affiliate, that's fine. Don't be an affiliate. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. But get inside of those products and learn, because, guys, I'm going to tell you something. The things sometimes that we think we know, we don't know. Just like I didn't know. I'm going to tell you something. If you're around somebody who's telling you and acting like they've got all the answers, there's only one thing to do at that point, and that's run the opposite way. Because I'm going to tell you something. The more somebody knows, if they're smart, the more that they'll realize that they don't know. Because my vision keeps getting stretched. I keep seeing new things. I keep hearing new stories. I keep seeing Laura Parishes popping up all over the place. First, it was all of the people that we launched with who had never had success before, the Chris Dartys, the Roy Harrises, the Scott Zlatefs, all of these different people. There's hundreds of them. I don't even have time. Guys, we got a problem. You know what our problem is? We can't keep up with all the people who are getting results and having success. That is a damn interesting problem to have. But it's a problem, right? Because I get on these calls and I want to bring out new faces. I want to bring out fresh stories, and there's too many to choose from. My eyes glaze over. Why? Why is that? Well, it's because of the phenomenon that's happened when people have gotten together who have realized that they're not the end-all, be-all, and that more things can be revealed when you let them. I had to learn a hard lesson, a real hard lesson in my life, and that was that I didn't have all the answers, and that I may just be misjudging something, or that I may just be misguided about something. I may just be misinformed about something. I may just not know the best way to market. It may not be a debate whether offline is better than online or online is better than offline. It may just be that I'm not seeing the potential of mixing both. It may not be that this is the best way to speak from stage, or this is the best way to present, or this is the best way to do a conference call, or that you shouldn't say shit, fuck, bullshit, or goddamn on a conference call because people are all going to jump up. Or maybe it's just that if you do say shit, fuck, or goddamn on a conference call, somebody's going to realize that you're passionate about what you're saying and that you ain't worried about what everybody thinks of you. I didn't know that for a long time, though. And see, what I see is a lot of the people that I love and care about out there who are constantly being fed misinformation and misgarbage. And I'm not mad. I am not mad, because guess what? I learned the lesson. Guys, I've had so many situations, so many things that have happened in my life where I realize that everything happens for a reason. I didn't used to believe that. I believed that, and I thought, and I had this illusion that I could control things. And I'm going to tell you something, that I can't control things. I can't control people at all. That's what this industry, that's what this profession is all about. I'm going to tell you something. If you get serious about this profession, this business, right here, right now on this call tonight, it will change your life. Not only financially, just like Laura said at the beginning of the call. It's not just about money. The money part just becomes a game, right? It really does. And that's when it gets fun. You think Donald Trump is, out there because he needs to make money? Come on, guys. Donald Trump has $20 million in his bank account, and he starts sweating. He's like, oh, shit, I'm broke. What you realize and what you learn is life things, principles. Just philosophies and concepts about life that you just can't learn other places. One of them was the illusion of control, right? There's so many amazing life lessons, but one of the things that I've learned is that everything happens exactly the way that it's supposed to happen. Exactly the way that it's supposed to happen. Every single thing happens exactly the way that it's supposed to happen. Sorry about that. Gotta stay hydrated here, ranting and raving. And I get pumped up on these calls because I believe in what we're doing so much and so deeply that I'm willing to fight for it, literally to the point to where I will work myself to death. I'm telling you, and I want to take a few of you back here for a second. And this will also illustrate the point that I'm making tonight. We started this company, guys, and we launched hard and fast. We really did. We launched hard and fast. I mean, it was a concept that's time had come, truthfully. And the fascinating and funny thing is that the same people, and I can remember a time for those of you who have been with us since the very beginning, do you remember when the merchant account shut down? We got our darn merchant account. I mean, this is a common problem. Did you know that 95% of network marketing companies that struggle and have issues, 95% of them that don't make it, a lot of times don't make it because of merchant issues. It wasn't an uncommon thing. It kind of slapped us in the face, right? And do you know that most people, they said, oh, they're done. They're done. I knew it. I knew I shouldn't have got in that thing. I knew that thing would go down. Those guys would screw it up. I knew that guy didn't know what they were doing. I knew it. I was right. I'm right. And you know, the people that had a vision, the people that knew something that they didn't know, the Tracy Walkers, the Aaron Rashkins, the Lawrence Tams, the Tobys and the Laylas, right? And I'm not so many of them. I can't even name them all off. They locked arms and they rallied around. And for 45 days, they told their people to keep blogging, keep creating content, keep marketing, stay in the light, keep the hope, keep the vision. And one day, 45 days later, we came out of it. And then we put 1,200 people inside of a room in Atlanta. When I walked out on that stage, my friends, I saw all the faces in the audience. And everybody was going absolutely crazy. I knew that the opportunity and the possibility for what we can do here, not only as individuals but also as a company, was so much bigger. It was so much bigger than what I had ever imagined. Folks, it was so much bigger than what Dave Wood and I had originally planned and set intentions for in that room in Costa Rica back in October of 2011. It was so much bigger. It was so much bigger than what I had even imagined. It was so much bigger than what Dave had even imagined. And I'm going to tell you something, friends. I learned an important lesson. Never underestimate the power of having a big vision for yourself. Never underestimate the power of stretching yourself. Never underestimate the power of getting around people who are going to believe in you, who are going to push you, who are going to tell you things that you don't want to hear, who are going to sit you down and talk about the uncomfortable stuff, who are going to sit you down and say, this is not okay, but I love you, and I'm going to show you the way. Friends, I can tell you something, that from that meeting inside of that room, the vision has absolutely, positively expanded, right? I can also tell you that from that meeting that I did, when I was ranting and raving just like I am now, trying to get a couple of people into my business back in that business meeting, when that man walked up to me and he said, David, if you stay at this, you can have anything you want in life. He said, if you stay at this and you don't give up, my friend, you could be one of the most successful and wealthiest network marketers that this profession has ever seen. And I'm going to tell you something, friends. Today I'm in one of the top 10 most successful and highest paid network marketers in this industry. Why? Because Dave Wood and I are actually affiliates of our products, something that you don't see that often. We actually go out and get in the trenches with our people. A lot of what we talked about this week when we were masterminding together was how we can build our own team and what we could do for our own personal marketing. Not only the vision of the company, but guys, I'm going to tell you something, that the speed of the pack will be in direct proportion to the speed of the leader. I can also tell you that when that woman walked up to me, Val, after that meeting, and she said, boy, I'm going to tell you something, David. I don't know what your plans are for the future, and I don't know if you're going to continue to work at that telemarketing company that you've been working at. I don't even know if you're going to stay with this company, but I can tell you something. If you continue to do what you've been doing, right, inside of this business, I'm going to tell you something. You can move mountains with your words. You can get on stages and you can be in front of people. This woman had seen what was possible because she'd been in this business for a long time. She'd been in auditoriums of 5,000 people. She'd seen people being moved. She'd seen tears rolling down people's cheeks in the audience from a network marketing convention. Back in the day, she knew what was possible. And she said, son, if you stay in this game and you do not give up and you don't quit on your dreams, my friend, you could be in front of damn 5,000 people speaking life and speaking inspiration into their hearts and souls. And I'm going to tell you something, friend. I never knew that I'd be in front of 5,000 people speaking into their hearts, speaking into their minds, speaking into their souls like we were in Chicago. And, friend, I would have never imagined being in front of 7,000 people, all people who want to be there, all people that made a choice, all people that are all in because this is their dream in Denver in a month and a half. I'm going to tell you something, friends. I couldn't see it. I didn't know that it was possible. I didn't know what was possible. I had to get around some people that were going to stretch me. I had to get around some people that were going to believe in me until I could believe in myself. I had to get around some people who could see some things that I couldn't see. I had to get around some people who were going to stretch me a little bit when I needed to be stretched and push me a little bit when I needed to be pushed. Just like, friends, just like when I was standing outside of that building 5 years ago, and that man came up to me because he saw I was in pain, because he saw me crying inside of that meeting, because he knew how I felt, because he'd been there himself, and he knew what he was doing several years later, and he walked up to me with a smile on his face, and it made me angry. And he said, Dave, I know you're hurting right now, brother, and I know you can't see past what's going on in your life right now. I'm going to tell you something, though, and I'm going to tell it to you straight up and honest. He said, Dave, number one, you never have to feel this way again. And he said, number two, Dave, one day you're going to look back on this. When you're going around and you're helping other people and you're inspiring other people and you're speaking life and inspiration to them, and I don't know if it'll be one-on-one. I don't know if you'll be in a jail or a treatment center. I don't know if you'll be somewhere on the side of the street. I don't know if you'll be having a one-on-one conversation with somebody. I don't know if you'll be in front of 5,000 people on a stage talking about where you've been and the low points and the desperate places that you've seen. But, friend, one day, he said, his name was Samuel, he said, one day you're going to be helping somebody else get through the same exact situation that you're dealing with right now. And I'm going to tell you something, friend. I didn't believe him, but I do today. Because over the last 5 years, not only have I had the opportunity to speak in front of thousands and thousands upon thousands of people, not only on conference calls, but in webinars and live streams and live events, but I've also had the privilege of going into treatment centers and institutions and having one-on-ones, and I still do it to this day. I still go back into the trenches and the tough parts of my street in my town here. And I still do the same damn thing that I did 5 years ago when I was in the pits of despair. Because what that man said was true. And I just didn't know it at that time. Friend, I'm going to tell you something. I don't know where you're at or what you've been through on this call tonight. I don't know what you think is possible. I don't know who you've been hanging around with or what they've been telling you. I don't know where you want to go with this whole thing, and I don't really know why you're listening to this call tonight. But I can tell you something. I want you to listen to it loud and clear. You can do 10 times more than what you think you can do. You are 10 times more powerful than you think that you are. And I'm going to tell you something. There is a world out there that is waiting to hear what you have to say. And I don't care if you were like me 5, 6 years ago when I didn't think I had jack shit to say to anybody and nobody wanted to listen, or if you're like Laura Parrish who said right on our stage in Chicago that she didn't believe that she ever had anything important to say, and if she did, she didn't think anybody wanted to listen. I don't know where you've been or where you want to go, but I'm going to tell you something. I've seen people transform. I've seen lives change. I've seen people connect their intention with their purpose like Layla Black has over the course of the last couple of months, and I'm going to tell you something that's been moving. I've seen people come out of the pits of despair in their own life in business. I've seen the Tony Rushes rise up from the ashes who were in financial distress. I've seen the Kevin and Melissa Connect who were in financial bankruptcy just 18 months or so ago. I've seen the stories. I've shook the people's hands. I've seen it personally. This is not a testimony that I heard about. This is not something that happened in another country. Friends, I'm telling you something. When you get all in and you get involved with what you're doing, you will automatically be stretched whether you know it or not. And I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes we need a good stretching, just like sometimes we need a good brainwashing. Thank God somebody washed my brain because it needed to be washed. A lot of times they say, oh, you're getting involved with one of those things. They're going to brainwash you. Good. Sometimes we need a good brainwashing. Sometimes we need to get out of our own way. Sometimes we need to get out of the driver's seat and let somebody else drive. Sometimes we need to sit in the back seat and not be a backseat driver. Sometimes we need to realize that we don't have all the answers. Sometimes we need to listen to somebody that's been there before we have. And it's not because they're any better or any worse. It's just because they know something that we don't know. And I'm going to tell you something. If I would have been the arrogant asshole, the hard-headed idiot that I was all of my life, I'd still be homeless today. I'd still be on drugs today. I'd still maybe, if I was lucky, be sitting on a bar stool somewhere. I'd still be getting up at 6 a.m. in the morning when I could manage to get out of bed, if I had a bed, and be going to some construction job where I was trading time for money. I'd still be doing that. But friends, there was a time and a place that I had to get out of my own way, when the pain becomes greater than the pleasure. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm a hard-headed asshole sometimes. I really am. I'm hard-headed as hell. I mean, sometimes I've just got to be in absolute misery to finally make a change in my life. I really do. Ask anybody who knows me. If I'm telling you something, I can be the most hard-headed person that you know. But I'm going to tell you something. I know something that I didn't know even just a couple of years ago. Is that sometimes, and more often than not, when I continue to do it my way and I don't open up my mind, my heart, and my soul for other people to stretch me and help me along the way, sometimes, my friend, I just get lost. And it reminds me of that song, I once was lost, but now I'm found. I'm going to tell you something. I don't know who wrote that. Some of you probably do, but it's a beautiful song. And it's a story of my life. And I'm going to tell you something. This, my success, wasn't exactly because of myself. And a lot of people, they say, Dave, congrats on all your success and this and that. And I'm going to tell you something. That's nice, and I appreciate it. Because at a certain point, we all do the work. We have all showed up. It was something that I was taught a long time ago. If all else fails, suit up and show up. Right? That's something that I learned a long time ago. If I don't know what I'm going to talk about, if I don't know what I'm going to do, if I don't know how it's going to end up, right? We do a lot of this sometimes in our business. We don't know really what the outcome is going to be, and we want to spend a whole lot of time getting ready to get ready, right? It's like, man, I got to rev this baby up. I got to just, man, things have really got to be dialed in, right, before I make that first phone call or run that first ad campaign or whatever the case may be, right? And the truth of the matter is no, it doesn't. Sometimes you just got to go and adjust once you go, because I'm going to tell you something. Unless you go and you take action right now, there ain't going to be nothing to adjust, right? Guys, there's a lot more out there than you may know. There's a lot more that's possible for you and your family than you may even imagine. There's some things out there that you haven't seen yet that are going to blow your mind when you get there. There's some crowds that when you stand in front of them, whether it be 1,000 people or 10,000 people, that when you get in front of those people, and you tell your story, and you see faces change, and somebody comes up to you after you got done speaking or doing whatever you were doing there, presenting, and they say, what you said changed my life. You'll morph into a new person. Your heart will just switch a little bit. Your brain, your mind will open up to new possibilities. The first time, and a lot of times we don't realize that it's happening, when you just pay for something or just buy something and don't think about it. You'll look back and remember the time that you used to sweat every single little bill that you had to pay. The first time that you take your vacation, or take your family on a vacation like I'm doing here in a couple of weeks over to Europe for 3 weeks, and your wife or your girlfriend or your partner or whoever it is spends and has a blast finding different homes and houses and things to do along the way. And you look back and remember the time that the word vacation was so foreign to you that it might as well have been another language. And you realize how far you've came. I'm going to tell you something, friends. Anything is possible. And you are so much more powerful than you even know. And I'm going to tell you something, when you get in, which I'm going to tell you right here, right now, one last time, if you're not in, friends, just get in. Just get in right now, and don't even think about it, because I'm going to tell you something. If you're just getting started and your best thinking got you exactly where you are right now, I'm going to tell you what, you need to put yellow caution right around your head because it's a bad neighborhood. Friend, you need to get in and get some new information. You need to get in and listen to some new people. You need to get in and hear some of the stories and get into the inner circle and walk around and listen to some of the audios. You need to hear some of the inspiration and the transformation and the real, actual people who have done in practice exactly what I'm talking about on this call tonight. And you need to realize and be stretched that you are worth so much more and that you were made for such a higher purpose. And that you've got something inside of you that when you release it is going to freak you out probably. Because the first time that you get up and do something that you didn't know that you could possibly do and you shock yourself, you're going to know that there's a lot more opportunity than you ever considered. And it may be somebody just like me who comes up to you when you're down at a place of despair and desperation and says to you, there's going to be a time when you're standing in front of one person or a group of people, helping them get through exactly what you're going through right now, when you're going to look back on this situation and laugh and say the same exact thing to somebody else. I don't know if that's going to be your experience or not. I don't know if you're going to be presenting and somebody's going to say you could do anything that you want in this industry. You could earn $10,000 a month, $30,000 a month, and you're going to laugh at them and think that they're crazy. I don't know if that's going to be your experience. I don't know if you're going to be planning something with one of your partners and you're going to be talking about a dream or a vision that you have, and you'll set a small kind of weenie goal and you'll go and you'll absolutely crush it, and you'll look back and you'll laugh in the faces of all the people who doubted you, who doubted your dreams, who doubted your vision. I don't know if that's going to be your experience, but friends, I'm going to tell you something. You ain't going to have no experience unless you go out there and take action and do something, and you ain't going to realize what's really possible unless you get around some people who are going to stretch you and start doing some things, even if it's against what you think is comfortable. You ain't going to get what I'm talking about. But I'm going to tell you something. It's right around the corner from a decision that you're about to make right now here on this call to really, 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 really stretch yourself. Guys, I love you. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the beach of the world, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the stage at our next event. Good night.
Although you're listening to a private recording in a non-disclosure Empower Network customer training, the principles and strategies in this audio can be applied in any business. Although these techniques, philosophies, and strategies may have worked for others, no one can guarantee that they will work for you. We report real average earnings, updated daily at empowernetwork.com/income.php. The purchase of this or any other audio is not required to earn money in our affiliate compensation plan, and you can decide to not continue to buy these forever at any time. We hope, however, these ideas and strategies will assist you in building a profitable, long-term business. Success takes hard work, determination, skill, and consistent effort. Please refer to our average earnings at empowernetwork.com/income.php.